Greetings. As we continue beyond our journey of Exodus and explore the lives of biblical figures, we now focus our attention on King Saul. His story is one of remarkable ascent and tragic descent, a narrative that carries profound lessons for us all. Today we'll delve into three key themes. One, the unlikely rise to kingship. Two, the fatal descent into disobedience. And three, the lessons in humility and obedience. So let me start with the unlikely rise to kingship. We read of this in 1 Samuel chapter 9 verses 1 and 2. There was a Benjamite, a man of standing whose name was Kish, son of Abiel and son of Zerar and son of Bekrath, and the son of Ephia of Benjamin. Kish had a son named Saul, as handsome a young man as could be found anywhere in Israel, and he was a head taller than anyone else. Saul's rise to kingship was unlikely and marked by humility. Chosen by God, he started as a humble son of Kish and became the first king of Israel. Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin, a lesser known tribe in Israel, and he was also known for his physical stature and was handsome, a king head and shoulders above the rest. His journey to becoming king began when he and his servant went searching for his father's lost donkeys and encountered the prophet Samuel, we read. There are times the parameters that are considered to be crucial for leadership are not necessarily the qualities that stands you in good stead in the long run. Within the military operations, there is a reference to the OLQs, which is the officer-like qualities, which are considered essential for an officer. Saul possibly scored 10 on 10 on those OLQs. Saul's life teaches that we shouldn't judge leaders by their appearance, but by their character and willingness to follow God's lead. There was a young mentally challenged child who the teacher had written off as addled. The mother saw potential in the child and nurtured him to health. Thomas A. Edison wrote in his diary that he was a mentally deficient child whose mother turned him into a genius of the century. Saul's story is a reminder that leadership isn't about appearances. It is consistently, consciously, and without reservations about the heart. Let me repeat that. It is consistently, consciously, and without reservations about the heart. So if you are looking at a leader, always look beyond the appearance. The second piece, the fatal descent into disobedience. In 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verses 10 to 11, we read, "Then the word of the Lord came to Samuel. I regret that I have made Saul king because he has turned away from me and has not carried out my instructions." Saul's fatal descent was marked by disobedience to God's commands. It serves as a cautionary tale of the consequences of pride and rebellion and standing up against God. Saul's disobedience became evident when he was instructed by God through Samuel to completely destroy the Amalekites, sparing nothing, God said. However, Saul spared King Agag and the best of the Amalekite livestock. his disobedience led to God's regret over making him king. What a colossal waste. There is nothing dearer to God than obedience, nothing surer to please him than following his word. The question is, are you willing to obey the Lord's word, even if it is counterintuitive? You know, the best of the animals and the things that Amalekites were rather alluring. And intuitively, they were calling out to be preserved. And their pull was rather difficult to ignore. And the words of the Lord was certainly counterintuitive. For how can such attractive things and livestock not be the right thing to do? Saul's fall teaches us the high cost of disobedience to God's clear commands. It's a warning against letting pride and self-will lead us astray, even when it appears that we are achieving success. What are those attractive things in your context that are alluring you and seems like gold, but are certainly against God's plan? Will you make a decision to forsake those attractions and invest your life in obedience to God? If you will be blessed. Imagine a captain of a ship who disobeys a critical navigation instruction in a storm. The ship ends up wrecked on the rocks, despite the captain's earlier success. Saul's story reminds us that even when we've tasted victory, disobedience can lead to our downfall. Regardless of your past victories, your past successes, one disobedience can have colossal consequences. And that is awesome, isn't it? And that is how God deals with disobedience. Thirdly, lessons in humility and obedience. In 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 22 and 23, does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of the rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. In the aftermath of his disobedience, Saul learned profound lessons in humility and obedience. To some extent, Saul's acknowledgement of his sin and his recognition of the importance of obedience over sacrifice marked a turning point of sorts. He realized that arrogance and rebellion were akin to idolatry. Though his kingship was lost, there was an effort made by him to reconcile with God. We can all relate to moments of disobedience and pride. Saul's story inspires us to embrace humility, seek reconciliation, and prioritize obedience in our relationship with God. Imagine a prodigal child returning home, humbled by their mistakes and eager for reconciliation. Saul's story is a reflection of the prodigal's return, a reminder that despite our failings, God's hands are eager to welcome us back and embrace us unto Him as we humble ourselves and seek His ways. And let me pull this together to conclude. The rise and the fall of Saul is a poignant narrative of a man who began as an unlikely leader who rose to great heights and fell due to disobedience. It teaches us about the consequences of rebellion and pride, as well as the path to humility and reconciliation. May we learn from Saul's narrative, recognizing that our journey is often marked by unexpected twists and turns. Let us strive to prioritize obedience over pride and cultivate a heart of humility. God's grace and redemption are available to all, no matter how far we may have strayed. In our own lives, as we face moments of success and failure, may we find inspiration in Saul's story and seek to walk humbly, love obedience, and embrace God's grace. May God grant us that enablement as we trust Him and walk in His ways. This is Pearl John signing off The Other 167. Thank you for watching The Other 167, and I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless.